Okay, now I'll start. You guys can see the screen?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Mm, right. Okay. So we'll be starting today with the vaccinations. I know you guys have covered a little bit of it with Miss Mehdish, but I would like to start from there. And then we're going to talk about active and passive immunity. And by tomorrow, we shall finish this chapter. Okay. So starting with vaccinations. If you guys want to copy these, you can, but I'll be sharing this PDF to you by tomorrow. So you can print it out or you guys can keep it for your reference. It's not necessary to copy it. Okay. Now, what do we actually mean by vaccine or what is the purpose of vaccine? Okay. First, we'll talk about that. Vaccines basically immunize the children and adult against diseases which are caused by pathogen. For example, if I talk about the recent pandemic, COVID, right? So we had a vaccine for that. What was the purpose of that vaccine? It was to immunize us against COVID so that if by chance we get COVID or if the virus or the pathogen enters our body, we already have an immunity against it. We will learn how we get that immunity, but this is the basic purpose of vaccination. Okay, so I'll be writing that point over here. Vaccines basically immunize, one second, immunize children, or let's not write children, it could be adult as well, but mostly vaccines are given to children because you guys know that children they usually visit the doctor, the pediatrician, so it is easy to vaccinate the children's whenever it's required compared to the adult. So I would write vaccines immunize people against diseases diseases that are caused by pathogens. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Amar, what about you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, if you guys have any doubts, you can ask me. Right. Now, vaccines basically they give us protection against specific disease. Now, if I get one vaccine, doesn't mean that I'm immune to all the disease. Every disease has its own pathogen. It's the pathogen has its own specific antigens. That is why we have different vaccines for different diseases. So vaccine they provide us protection against specific disease and they boost our body's defense against the infection from that particular pathogen without the need to be exposed to that pathogen. Now, for example, if I wait that okay, COVID comes in my body and then I will fight against it and then I will get immunity. But what if COVID comes again comes in my body, but I am not able to fight? My body's immune system is not able to fight with it, right? So for that, I have already taken the vaccine for COVID so that just in case it comes, my body is ready to fight with it. Okay, that is the purpose of vaccine. So we will write that point as well. One second. They give protection against specific disease. So it depends whatever vaccine you have taken to which disease to against which disease it works. That depends. Okay. Against specific diseases and boosts the body's defense against infection. Defense against infection. Okay. Now, we could also include infection from pathogen without the need. Now, this point I will be elaborating later when we go to active and passive immunity. But for now, we just need to know what exactly the purpose of vaccine is. Need to be exposed to the dangerous diseases or the dangerous pathogens. Any doubts from this?
Nope.
Okay. Iman, clear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, so what basically vaccine contains? How is it allowing us to, how is it basically giving a boost to the our defense system, or how is it fighting with the diseases? So for that, what we will do is we will write a point that, okay, vaccines basically they allow the dead or the altered form of the disease causing pathogen. Now, for example, we have a pathogen. Okay, for example, this is a pathogen that causes COVID, right? So the COVID vaccine, which I'm taking, for example, we had one was Sinopharm and the other one was Pfizer. Okay, so they basically allow the dead or the altered form of COVID, which is basically our disease causing pathogen, to be introduced into the body. Okay, that is the first step. Dead, one second. Mm, dead or the altered form. Now, why are we using the dead or the altered form? Because if I introduce the real virus or the real pathogen in my body, then it can cause infection, which I don't want. I'm basically trying to boost my immunity. I'm not trying to get the infection. That is why we will put dead or the altered form of the disease causing pathogen. Disease causing pathogen. All right. Mm, now, what happens when you put the dead or the altered form of the disease causing pathogen inside the body? Basically, when I put that, my lymphocytes will come into action. Basically, I've put this into the body. Okay. Now, my lymphocytes will try to fight against it because, of course, that is, we have learned that lymphocytes or the WBCs, they fight against the infections. So, they will try to fight against this dead or the altered form. Okay. Now, first thing you guys need to know is this dead or the altered form, it cannot cause the illness. We are putting the dead or the altered form of the pathogen inside our body, but it cannot cause illness because, of course, it's dead. But it can provoke our immune system to give a response. Okay? So, because of that immune response, our lymphocytes will come in action. Now, lymphocytes will try to fight against it and they will produce the complementary antibodies for that antigen. Now, I'm sure you guys will be familiar with antibodies and antigens. Okay, so lymphocytes will produce complementary antibodies, and then the antibodies they will target that antigen and they will attach themselves. This is my, let's say, the pathogen. Okay, these are the antigens on its surface, right? Now, lymphocytes, they will make antibodies which are complementary to this. For example, they could be like this, right? They will make antibodies which are complementary to the antigen and they will go and fight against it, right? Now, when they do that, when they attach themselves with the antigen, they will also make something which is called as memory cell. Memory cell. Okay. Now, what is memory cell? One second, sorry. Yeah. What is memory cell? Memory cells, they will basically remain in our body. Okay. They could remain for many years, for many, like for long period of time. It could be even the lifetime for some of the vaccines, but for some, it will remain for many years. Okay. So memory cells, they will remain in our body. And if by chance the real version of COVID comes into my body, so these memory cells, they are basically these ones went and fought with it, and I have some remaining, which are basically my memory cells. Now, if the real version of COVID comes into my body, these ones, these will be ready to fight against it. Is that clear? Do you
Yes.
guys understand the mechanism, how it works? Iman,
Yeah.
any questions?
Nope.
Or am
No.
I too
Fine.
fast? You guys can tell me.
No, it's fine. We learned the same thing yesterday from
Oh,
this.
cool. Now I'm just gonna put a picture right here and we're gonna look from that. This one. Right. Okay. Just gonna make it a little bigger. Cool. Okay. So, first thing, we are basically injecting the harmless pathogen, which is a dead version or the altered version, as I told you guys right here. Okay, that was our first step. So, this injection basically contains our antigens. Now, these antigens, they will not cause any infection in my body, but they will trigger an immune response. Now, it can take days for the lymphocyte which to make complementary antibodies to be activated. They don't work in seconds or in minutes. It takes days, it takes hours depending on the antigen and depending on their quantity. Okay, so they will make complementary antibodies to that. Then these are the lymphocytes which have made the complementary antibody. Now, from here, we can see that they are able to produce the antibody. These are the ones which are giving us the antibodies. See here, they're releasing antibody. They will go and fight with the antigens which we introduced here. But other side of it, we're getting memory cells. So memory cells are produced so that if the antigen is encountered again, if I get the real version in my body, the antibodies will be produced much faster. We do not need to wait for it. Okay, so that is basically giving us long-term immunity. It could be years, it could be the lifetime, as I told you guys before. Okay, so these are our memory cells. They have that particular antibodies to fight with that antigen. Clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Now there's this one graph I wanted to show you guys, which was from the textbook, right? I think I inserted it twice. No, 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 don't. Okay. Why would you not move? Right. Okay. So if I look at this graph, this is a first infection with a particular type of bacteria. Okay. So we can see that the amount of bacteria is increasing rapidly. Let's not look at this section, let's just look at this section. Okay, so this is the first infection my body, the first time my body has even seen this bacteria. So we can see that it takes a sufficient amount of time before my antibodies start to increase. If we can say it's 2 days in this case, but it depends from different bacterias, different pathogens. Okay, so after 2 days, when the antibodies have increased, then the bacteria has basically gone down right here. But we can see that it took time. Now, if I compare it, for example, I already had that vaccine for this particular virus. Let's use this. Okay. For example, I was vaccinated against this virus or this bacteria. Okay. So now my body already contains the antibodies to fight with it. I just got the bacteria in the body right here, and the antibody amount increased significantly, which means the bacteria did not even get the time to grow or the time to basically reproduce. So the antibody number was already high, and maybe I don't even get the symptoms of the disease because the infection is already finished because of these antibodies which were already present. Is that clear?
Yes, kind of. Yeah.
Iman, clear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This will become distorted. Let it be here. Okay, so now we'll go to the next thing, that is herd immunity. Did you guys learn yesterday what is herd immunity?
No. I don't think so.
Okay, so this will be something new for you guys. Herd immunity. Cool. Now, If a large enough percentage of the population is vaccinated, it provides a protection for the entire population. For example, if, or let's say, let's look from this picture. We'll use this picture. Okay. Now here, mm, this picture. Okay. First, look at the key. The blue one says not vaccinated but still healthy. Green one is vaccinated and healthy. Red one is not vaccinated. They are sick and they are basically contagious. They can spread the virus to the other person, like whoever comes near them. Okay. So in the first picture, let's talk about the first scenario. Right here. In this picture we can see that only like these all blue people, they are not vaccinated but they're healthy, they're fine. But the two red ones, let's highlight them. The two red ones, they are not vaccinated and they're sick and contagious, so this they can basically spread that virus or that bacteria to their neighboring people or whoever is in contact with them. Okay, so here if we read this, no one is vaccinated, contagious disease spreads through the population. So after some time, after a few hours or after 1 or 2 days, we can see that the virus has spread among the whole population. All these red ones, they are not vaccinated and they became sick because of only these two red ones. Of course, a few of them are left, but what we're trying to show is that if no one is vaccinated, the disease will spread rapidly through the population. Now let's talk about the second scenario. Here, there are a few people who are vaccinated. Let's use no. Let's use this. Okay, the green ones, they are vaccinated. Okay, so if we see over here, this picture, the disease has spread less compared to what it was over there, right? Because these people, they were vaccinated, they had those memory cells inside their body to fight with the infection, so they did not get sick. So we can see that these blue ones, they're not vaccinated, but the green ones, they are vaccinated and they are fine. Only the red ones, they have the disease. So we can see that the amount is of course less than what it was in this picture. Okay, now, the third picture. In this, most of the population gets vaccinated. In this, only it was some of them. Okay, most of the population gets vaccinated. The spread of the contagious disease is contained. So we can see that only here um, two people were sick and infected, and still here it's two only. The percentage spread is less in this compared to what it was over here or what it was over there. Is that clear,
Yep.
Amar?
Yes, it's clear.
Any doubts in this picture?
Not really, no.
Okay. So basically, we can compare this scenario to COVID also. For example, if we talk about UA, okay, for example, and we say that 98% of the people, they are vaccinated. So that will be this third scenario. So the disease will spread very less compared to if less people were vaccinated, which was the initial scenario when the COVID came and the vaccine was basically new. Not many people were vaccinated, so the disease was spreading rapidly. But after we got vaccinated, the spread of the COVID was contained. So now I'm gonna write 2 or 3 points for this so that you guys can refer to it later. Just a second. Right here. Okay. So we're gonna say if large enough percentage of the population is vaccinated, all right, vaccinated, it provides protection. It provides protection for the entire population. For the entire population. Now, why is it entire population? I will take you guys back to the picture. If we see the third scenario, these many people are vaccinated, the green one, right? So even if the pathogen comes from somewhere, it has very less places to breed. It can only breed in this person. Basically I'll take gray. Okay, it can breed in this person, it can breed in this person, this person, this person. It cannot go to the green ones because they already have an immunity. They're ready to fight with it even before it comes, right? So if large enough percentage of the population is vaccinated, it provides a protection for the entire population. Why? Because sorry, okay, because there are very few places, or there are very few people in which the pathogen can go and then spread out. Very few places for the pathogen to breed. Clear?
Yep.
uh, Iman, clear?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we could also say, okay, I'll write it here. It could only breed if it could only breed if um it enters body of an unvaccinated person, which I showed you guys in the picture. It cannot enter in the green people, those who are vaccinated. It can only enter on those poor people. So the proportion, it gets less, and that is why the spread of the disease is contained. An unvaccinated person. Good. So what we just learned right now, this is what we call as herd immunity. This is known as herd immunity. Herd basically means large group or a larger proportion. So, larger proportion of people are vaccinated, which was in the third scenario. As a result, we have herd immunity. All of them are immune to the disease. So, even if the virus comes, the pathogen comes, they're immune to it and it won't affect them that much. Herd immune. Oh no, herd immunity. Cool. Now, we will also say if the number of people vaccinated against a specific disease, for example, COVID, it drops in the population, then it leaves the rest of the population at a risk of mass infection, which was in the second scenario. Only few people were vaccinated, but still there is a risk of the spread because only four of them were vaccinated. There is still a chance that the disease will come and it will hit it. It will hit the population. So if the number of people vaccinated drops in the population, then it leaves the rest of the population at a risk of mass infection. Mass infection, just like how COVID was initially, everyone was getting infected with it, everyone was getting the disease. That is what we call as mass infection, because there are more they're more likely to come across the people who are infected and contagious. In this case, the vaccinated ones, the green ones, if they come near those who are actually sick or they're not vaccinated, then they have a risk of getting the disease, though they are immune, but they can still get the pathogen in their body. So they are at a risk. That is a what we say, that is what happens if the number of people who are vaccinated decreases. So okay, mm, I would say, if I'm noting down these points so that you guys can refer to it later, if the number of people vaccinated um, against a specific disease, against a specific disease drops in the population. You guys can understand my handwriting, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. drops in the population, then mm, it leaves the rest of the population at a risk of mass infection. At risk of mass infection. Okay. As we will also write the reason as those people as they are more likely to come across people who are infected and contagious. Who are infected and contagious. Okay. Now, so this will increase the number of infections as well as the number of people who could die from these specific infectious diseases. Okay, that was about herd immunity. Now, also, we could say that herd immunity prevents epidemics and pandemics from occurring in the population because if a large number or a large proportion of the people or the population is vaccinated, then the pandemic or the epidemic will not occur. Again, we can compare it to the scenario of the COVID. Um, I would note this point too. Herd immunity prevents pandemics and epidemics. Pandemics and epidemics from occurring in the population. In the population. Oh no. Okay. Right. So, in certain instances, government or the World Health Organization, WHO, they do vaccination programs. Okay, what is their aim? They have an aim of eradicating certain dangerous diseases. Eradicating means finishing it, like, well, so that no one can get infected with that pathogen again. Okay, examples of the disease which was eradicated as a result of the vaccination program is smallpox. Smallpox was officially eradicated in 1980. How was it eradicated? After a vaccination program by WHO, which was basically started in the mid of 1950s. And in 1980, there were like after a subsequent 3 years of reporting no infection with smallpox, they announced or they officially declared that smallpox was eradicated from this world. Okay, I will also write that. 1 second. Smallpox. Or let us write it on the next page. 1 sec. Hmm. Smallpox. It was eradicated in 1980 as a result of the vaccination program by the WHO. Is that clear? Do you guys have any doubts from whatever we learned till now?
Nope.
Iman?
No.
Okay. So now I would like to move to active and passive immunity as you guys do not have any doubts. Okay. We will go to active and passive immunity. Okay. Active and Passive immunity. You guys have any idea about active and passive immunity? Any of you?
Nope, I don't have any idea.
Iman, what about you?
Mm, I don't
No.
have.
Okay. So first, I will give you guys a brief about what active and passive immunity is, and then we'll write. Okay. A person has active immunity to a disease if they have made their own antibodies and memory cells that protected against it. Okay. Now, I will give you guys two scenarios. First, mm, let's talk about two scenarios. Okay, this is just an example, so we'll keep it at the side. Okay, one scenario is I've got COVID in my body, the real version of COVID. I was infected with it and I was not vaccinated. Not vaccinated. So it was basically my first encounter to it. Okay, second scenario. I was basically not infected. I was having the vaccination for COVID. Okay, I got the vaccination, though I did not have the infection. Vaccination for COVID. Okay, these are two different scenarios, and we will look at them differently. Okay, now first scenario. I got COVID, but I was not vaccinated. So what my body will try to do is when the COVID comes into my body, when the pathogen comes into my body, those antigens will be detected as foreign by the body's immune system. Okay, and it will trigger an immune response. So my lymphocytes will come into action, my white blood cells will come into action, and they will make the specific antibody against the antigen for COVID, right? So my body will try to fight off COVID. It does not have any previous immunity to it. It has to create new antigens, new antibodies, right? So in this case, my body has made my own antibodies, and of course, in that process, if we see over here, one second, just like in this case, I will get antibodies. And I will get some memory cells. So when I have made my own antibodies and my own memory cell because of the live infection by that pathogen, that is called active immunity. Now these memory cells will remember it. They will have that particular antigen for COVID. So now, for example, I fought off COVID again by chance if the pandemic comes and if I get COVID again, my body remembers it. I have that particular antigen because of those memory cells. So it won't take time. It will be the second graph, which is over here. It won't take time and I will immediately recover from it. This is what we call active immunity. Is that clear?